Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Primesberger, editor of eWEEK.com. Thanks for joining us today for this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. It's a series of casual conversations with IT thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives from every corner of the business. Our interviewee today is TJ Kennedy, who is CEO of Qumu, and it's spelled Q-U-M-U, as you can see behind him there, but it's pronounced Qumu. TJ, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be on the show with you today.
Yeah. Thanks for your time in advance. We appreciate it. Tell me a little bit, TJ, about your background and just at a high level, the mission of Qumu and what it does.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a unique background in technology and actually in a lot of mission critical spaces as well. Very long time ago, I was a firefighter and a paramedic. That's how I started my career. Not your usual way into the technology industry, but then after many years doing that, focused on building out mission critical technology systems, including FirstNet, the nationwide first responder network for the United States. That drove me to leading up some tech startups that were focused in the SaaS space. And after doing that and accelerating companies in the SaaS space, I'm now on the board of a number of different companies there and ended up being recruited to come in and run Qumu. And what's great about Qumu and the reason why I took on this endeavor last year is we're in the greatest change in our lifetime on how we do work. And I felt like Qumu was extremely well positioned to take advantage of the capability they've had for many, many years in both synchronous and asynchronous video and video content management, and to leverage that in this new work. I'm not going to call it hybrid work or remote work, it's just work. And that new work doesn't have any boundaries. It's very hyper distributed. And what every company in the world is trying to figure out, whether you're 100 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 employees, is really how do we engage, align, and motivate across tens of thousands of massively dispersed employees or customers. Many of our big clients are actually large healthcare organizations, large financial organizations, and their key engagement is with millions of people who live in different jurisdictional boundaries. And at the end of the day, their job is to communicate and serve and meet them where they're at. And that's all changed in the last 12 months. And so, this is just so transformational. And we saw it happen last year where you saw, Zoom or WebEx or Teams or these different tools being used to really replace the conference room. We used to go to work and I'll get in a conference room and get 5 or 10 or 20 people in there. And those tools exploded last year. And now here we are in 2021. And what we're seeing is we need long-term solutions that are secure, that meet all of our IT policies. So security is really going to come to fruition here in 2021. And then in addition to that, it's really how do we work in this new hyper-distributed environment? And it's so different. And to me, I think it's going to be work from wherever, whenever. And so as a company, Qumu, we made a decision with our own employees to go to work from wherever completely last year. That was a huge decision for us. And it's actually made us more effective and more efficient in what we do. And I think many companies are going to go across that same kind of journey this year. And we want to be there as part of that journey for them. And I think what we're going to see changing in 2021 is instead of being in the office, which if you think about it, it's about being in the same time and same location with all of your fellow employees, or in your customer's location, same time, same location, to we've seen this big move to same time, different location. That's the remote and hybrid world that we've been in on video. That's going to continue for a long time because we've learned that, spending 2 days on an airplane and stuck in airports and having weather delays is not the most efficient and effective way to do business. But I think what we're going to see in 2021 and beyond is beyond that hyper-distributed element, we're going to get into a timeless environment. And that timeless environment is we can actually work in a different time and a different location. And I have a global workforce. I have our workforce across multiple continents. That workforce works at different times of the day. And I can go ahead and record both live synchronous video. I just came off a company-wide meeting. We had 100% of our company on around the world. You can only do that really about 1 hour of the day to make that work. But we also film it on video on demand because if somebody's meeting with a customer, I don't want them calling into that. I want them meeting with a customer. And so they can watch that asynchronous video, see all of that content, comment on it, deal with it in live format, and really make that happen. And so Qumu is really, about human engagement. And our goal is to engage both same time, same location, same time, different location, and different time, different location. A great example just for me as a CEO and a board member of a public company is I communicate very often with my board. And I do that, in many different ways. It could be on the phone, could be on a video call on our platform. The other way that I do it is I create short asynchronous videos on updates that are about everything we're doing strategically at the company, and I send them to my entire board. I know that they open it, that they listen to it, they reach out and touch base with me if they have any questions. And that's a more effective and efficient way to communicate and get a more authentic update than anything you could ever do in email. So this is really what Qumu is about this human engagement, both internally to a company to allow an enterprise to work effectively. Most of our companies are very large enterprises. Our customers are typically Fortune 500 or Global 2000 companies. But what we found with the pandemic and the change is that need for that kind of high level, world-class synchronous and asynchronous video and video content management is now every company in the world. It's no longer just big companies. So we have a lot of mid-sized enterprises and even smaller enterprises that are now embracing what we can bring to them with Qumu.
Wow, TJ, fire hose of information. Now, that's great stuff, by the way. As an editor, I think in terms of headlines. So if I broke this down to Qumu is timeless, and it's a timeless environment that takes the friction out of human engagement. Would that do it?
I think you've hit it quite well.
Okay, then we're done. So, no, that's great. TJ, tell me a little bit about how this works. Is it a SaaS product? Is it a software that can be put into a server and kept on-prem in a private cloud, or something else, or all of the above?
Historically, it's all the above, and we've had on-prem solutions, we've had hybrid solutions, both software and hardware, and we've had SaaS solutions. The majority of our go-forward business is SaaS. We're continuing to maintain and still sell our on-prem solution for those that need that. There's a few countries in the world that have different security regulations that really support more on-prem installations, and we have, I think, the best on-prem enterprise video platform in the world, and we're still leveraging it for that. But in addition to that, really SaaS is where we see the growth happening. And our SaaS growth, both from existing customers and new customers, is really the focus of the company and the focus of the new demand that we're seeing in this hyper-distributed world. And when we think about this hyper-engagement that needs to happen, one of the things we saw in 2020 was just the massive scale of what changed. When people started sharing their internal videos now as external videos and really started using it to engage with patients or engage with banking customers, we saw things go from dealing with thousands of people a day or tens of thousands of people a day to millions of people a day. And the amount of views and the amount of activity on our cloud platform just continued to grow. And so it's about having that ability to be everywhere, be very intentional about how we communicate, and to be fast. It doesn't always have to be a formal update. And I think everyone's getting more and more comfortable on video now that it's part of our daily life. It's just really, really important. And I think that we're going to get more comfortable with asynchronous video because we're going to find out it's a lot more effective and efficient than just live streaming, although both are very, very effective.
Yeah, the asynchronous video is an interesting thing. It's you can see the content, or you can see the information anytime you need to see it, and it's all kept in this app, in this service, and all the channels are just always available and connected and organized, so for distribution across the world in different time zones. It's amazing to me what this can do. It seems like there's lots of options here for a customer. Does a customer look at this and say, okay, we'll look at the menu of choices here from Qumu, and can they pick and choose what they need for their use case, or does it all come on one platform, or what?
They can definitely pick and choose. We have customers that come to us for live streaming only, or video on demand only, or video content management. And we're happy to do that. Majority of our large enterprises, choose all of our solutions on the cloud. And so they will go for, our high-end security, our video content management, our live streaming, and our VOD, and they go with a full enterprise license for their whole company. And that's usually the most effective way for them. But if somebody just needed a piece of that, that's also okay. A lot of these very large enterprises have very different needs in marketing, let's say, than in engineering and in different parts of the company, and they use it very differently. A unique instance would be in engineering. We have a lot of our very high intellectual property companies that film their secret sauce onto videos, and that's how they train new apprentices and new engineers. We have telecom companies that use tens of thousands of folks to go out and install and repair cell towers or radio sites. And literally, they use our video on demand platform to help them install different vendors of equipment that are installed differently and fix different broken equipment. We have, people who make cars and airplanes, and they leverage our platform to be able to train their personnel on how to do that daily motion of what they're doing as part of that. And those are things that people don't think of. They often think of Qumu with 100,000 person town halls, CEO town halls, and we do that, and we do that probably as good as anybody in the whole world. But the reality is there's so many more uses for both live video and video on demand, and we just get more and more every day. We saw with the pandemic, healthcare, some of our biggest healthcare corporations really helped educate their patients on what to do if they had COVID symptoms, what to do if they wanted to get a vaccination. Even just with everyday medical issues, it could be, what's the best way to deal with diabetes or other chronic health conditions and prevent people from having to come into the hospital. And these were direct to single patients, and these were out to millions of patients. And so the ways that we can use video have just continued to expand. And I think the barriers to creating video have come down. Before, it used to be a video shop or in the CIO shop. That's still an important place for us. But the reality is everyone across the enterprise now has to create video content.
Yeah, no question about it. TJ, we have just a minute and a half or so left. I appreciate it. And I was going to ask you about security, but you addressed that like you're reading my mind, because I was going to say security is such a huge thing. And when you're talking about the company's secret sauce or training or government projects or anything like that, it has to be airtight, secure. Does your security process include, does it pretty much rely on the authentication of access, or is there more to it than just, I'm sure it's more to it than that. Can you just kind of outline that for me?
Yeah, because we deal with so many large corporations, we're dealing with security both behind the firewall and outside the firewall. And so we're dealing with encryption, we're dealing with authentication tokens, we're dealing with single sign-on. And a lot of times this is very customized across these large enterprise networks. And so we're one of the very few that will come in with professional services and help them figure out how they want security to work for them with their video platform. And they have zero chance for errors. So I mean, it's literally that we need to make sure that there's nobody bombing into a meeting on a video with the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That can't happen. That doesn't happen on our platform. And we're really critical that security piece is something that we work with them on. And often they engage our professional services to help understand their environment, which is usually very complex. But we've done this in so many different ways around the world that we know what all the different issues are that are likely to come up, and really how to build it into their core everyday business. Because we all know security is both a human and a technology component. And if you don't make it easy to be secure, people will go around your security as employees, and we need to make sure that we make it easy to comply with.
Absolutely. So my takeaways are this is a secure, scale out video app for the multitudes. And that's not the best, but that's probably another takeaway. I think this is a really interesting topic, TJ. Thank you very much for sharing your high-level insight on this company. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. We really appreciate the time today, and look forward to engaging more in the future.
No, I think we could talk a long time about some of these topics, but we only have 30 seconds left, so I'm going to wrap it up. So thanks again for joining us on eSpeaks.
You bet. Thank you.
And for everybody following along to the end here, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your eWeek. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.